Welcome to A Styled Life, the podcast for purpose-led female founders and senior leaders ready to use style as a powerful tool for confidence, impact and influence. I'm your host, Alex Standley, multi-award-winning personal stylist, speaker and sustainable fashion consultant with 2 decades of experience in the fast-paced world of fashion. Join me as we redefine success from the inside out. This podcast isn't just about clothes. It's about personal power, purposeful style, and creating a life that aligns with your values. So whether you're running a business, leading a movement, or stepping into your next chapter, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into the world of personal style, sustainability, female empowerment, and living with intention through real stories, expert insights, and plenty of inspiration. Welcome back to a Style Trailblazers episode of the podcast, where I'm speaking to bold, brilliant women who are building businesses, changing conversations, and showing up powerfully both in work and now in style too. These are my clients who went through the Style Trailblazers experience with me to create their unique signature style, capture their mission and impact in personal branding photography, and share their story in a live gallery reveal event. Today, I'm really excited to be joined by Nova Cobban, who is a psychologist and founder of Confidante Global. Thank you so much for joining us today, Nova.
Thank you for having me, Alex. Lovely to be here.
I'd love to start by basically kicking off into your journey and how you've got to where you are today and why what you do now is so important to you in terms of your mission and what really lights you up about what you do.
Okay, thank you. So, my main business or my main profession, I guess, really for a long time has been psychotherapy and being a psychologist. And that's evolved definitely over the years because it's been nearly 25 years now. And so after doing a lot of private practice and working in various different sectors across what I do, so drug and alcohol rehabilitation, working in schools, lots of different things. It evolved to working in corporate and working with founders, working with CEOs, working with leadership teams, primarily around things like productivity and getting in the right mindset and learning about mental health and culture and all of those kind of things. And so I sort of had a bit of a style evolution at that point because I kind of swapped from doing private practice, which had a very different kind of feel to it, a more relaxed feel, I guess, into more of the kind of corporate and startup world where I needed to sort of step up a little bit more in my style. And now to where I'm also doing at the same time Confidante Global, which is a private members club. We are working around events that are for bright and intelligent, bold thinkers who want to explore different topics in a really confidential setting with other people who are willing to debate things, who are willing to have deeper conversations and want to have really deep conversations. And then we do it in these beautiful settings. So we have like salons and dinner debates, and we have the retreat, which I've just come back from. So lots of different opportunities for people to step into a different space and to have a different type of conversation. And that's been a whole new style challenge.
I have been to one of your Confidante Global dinner debates as well, and it was absolutely incredible. And I love the kind of personal touches that you put into everything that you do. It makes the whole experience feel really special. What was it about, what were you wanting to create with Confidante Global that you perhaps didn't have in your previous career or your current career as well? But
I think it was probably a need in me because I was having these lovely, not lovely, but very kind of challenging topics that I was covering with clients and things that were difficult to talk about. And one of the most popular things that I covered was actually having awkward conversations. But I wanted to be able to have those conversations too. And when you're a sole practitioner and you're the only person in your business, the opportunity to do that is quite difficult. And then there's also the thing of when you're in a particular profession or a particular role, it's also really hard to be able to talk about anything outside of your brand, if you like, or anything that you're known for. And I wanted to have all kinds of different conversations. I didn't just want to talk about psychology. I
No.
wanted to talk about the world as a whole, or different kind of aspects of spirituality, or just loads of different topics. And so I basically kind of created a space that I wanted to be involved in. And I felt really passionately about the need for confidentiality. I think that was kind of key. And of course, that's carried in my work anyway. And I know how powerful it is for people to feel like there is no need for a filter, and there is no need for you to feel like everything has to be perfectly said, or like perfectly finished, or that your ideas have to be completely formed before you talk about them. So that's really what I was looking to do. And I thought that the environment had to be really special for that to happen, because it's all part of being able to sort of create the catalyst for those kind of conversations to occur. So the environments were really important, and meant that they needed to be held by candlelight, and in the right room, and with the right people, really curated very carefully as well. So all of those things went into it to just create the perfect setting for those kind of things to be able to go to a different level and to go a bit deeper.
Definitely. And you can feel that in the room. I mean, you hold space for people beautifully, obviously, from your background and what you do. But I think so often brilliant businesses are formed through the founder's own personal experience of that particular thing was missing for them, and then they've created it. And that's obviously the case with you as well. So when it comes to your style, obviously, you mentioned that this was a whole new chapter again. And I think this is the conversation that I'm having so much with clients and on the podcast as well, that it's not that your style, you know, you'll have one evolution of your style. It just constantly evolves as you develop as a person, and as you go through life transitions and all of this kind of thing. So for you, with stepping into this new chapter with Confidante Global, what was it that was missing with your style, or what you wanted to really focus on as part of the Style Trailblazers experience?
I think for me, it was mainly understanding whether I had a style or not that sort of fitted with who I was. And I've sort of had a very, going straight from very casual, sort of in my scrubs all the time, feeling very comfortable in that. And actually, when I was doing the corporate work, I kind of settled into a slight rebellion, because everyone was very dressed, everyone was very suited and booted, and that just wasn't me. And so I started to wear stuff that was more me, and that was a slightly more casual style. Or I was very dressy and going to a ball, or a really fancy party, and all of that, and that side of things was sort of something I really loved and enjoyed. But there needed to be something in the middle, and the middle was the part that I could never really figure out. I think some of that comes from working a lot on your own, because you kind of think, well, what's the point in kind of having a middle ground? It's fine to just be in slacks all the time, but or scrubs all the time. Sorry, not slacks. But I knew that there needed to be something where I felt like I had a smart casual look, and a smart casual look that wasn't built around what I was doing, but still built around who I was. And some of the stuff that I do is quite spiritual. And so I didn't kind of it would have felt really forced if I'd suddenly sort of turned up in these very floaty things. Or tried to sort of, get into a vibe that wasn't mine. I still needed to own what mine was, but I wanted it to feel like it also fit with the space. So you really helped me understand how I could be me and still feel like I was a part of the space that I wanted to inhabit at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I love that, because I think if we ever try and dress up, or like dress as something, I think that's when that disconnect happens, and we don't feel that true confidence, because we're dressing, like you said, to either fit into a room or to dress the way that we think we should for a certain situation or time of our lives, or whatever it is. And I think that's the real beauty with the process that we went through, is that it's very much grounded in you and your personality. And of course, we consider your lifestyle and kind of what happens for you on a practical basis on a day-to-day You know, we talk about what kind of events you're going to and what's happening in your day-to-day life as well, because that's really important so that we can dress appropriately. But I think the biggest thing is really finding what you enjoy that still fits with, you know, whatever those particular circumstances are. And I think for you it was brilliant that we could come up with, you know, casual, smart casual, and then more formal. And we actually split your Pinterest boards into those 3 categories, which I think was a helpful way for you to visually see, like, this is how I can pull things together for different eventualities.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I think that the confidence piece that you spoke about is really important as well. And that, as you said that, I was like, gosh, that's massive. Because I know that whenever I was standing up and doing a talk for anyone that I was doing a talk for, it massively changed the way that I showed up in that room, depending on what I was wearing. And I noticed that I was, you know, on one day, I would be wearing heels and be like, yes, I really, you know, I feel great in heels today.
Yeah.
And then in another day, I'd be wearing heels and be like, no, it just doesn't, you know, I can't move around as much as I want or as easily as I want. And so trainers were the right thing for that particular day. And
Yeah.
so, and that did absolutely have an effect on my confidence.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of people do struggle, like you said, with that kind of in between, because quite often it's easy, you know, day to day, whether that's school run or, you know, working out or whatever it is, and you just end up wearing the same kind of thing on repeat. Or like you said, getting dressed up for a special event. Those things are relatively easy, because I think dressing up is like an exciting thing to do, and it's like, you know, putting an outfit together, and day to day that's just, you know, run of the mill, and it's stuff that you've got to hand in your wardrobe. Whereas I think that in between, let's call it like smart casual, is more challenging because it takes that level of intention and that level of kind of knowing yourself and knowing what makes sense, but also together with, you know, the environment and what you're doing as well. And I think it really helps to build that personal brand around your style as well. So I know another thing that we spoke quite a bit about was building a personal brand, but not being so memorable that you would feel like, oh, I can't wear that again. You know, I've worn that for an event and I can't wear it for another event. So how did you feel about that kind of process coming together in terms of building more of a personal brand around your style? And I know color was obviously something that we spoke about within that. And I love how the colors come out in your photographs as well. I think it's really bold and perhaps shows a slightly different side to you as well.
Yeah, yes, I loved introducing a bit more color. And that was one of my big fears, that actually I would have an outfit that was really obvious and beautiful, but at the same time, I'd be like, well, that's done then. Can't use that
Yeah.
again. Everyone's going to recognize it the second I walk into the next room where similar people are going to be there. And what you did so cleverly and carefully was to look at how color could be carried through as a theme without it needing to be the same outfit. So the red that I wore, I never wear a lot of red. I do actually have a red dress, and I wore it once, and everyone was sort of saying, "Oh, you look really great in red," and I never wore it again because I was like, "Well, they've seen me in red now," which is a silly thing to think, really. But I couldn't kind of quite get my head around, or maybe I just didn't care enough actually about how to kind of pull that back in again. And then when you showed me, well, you could sort of have a red top or a red jacket, and then you can still wear it with the stuff that you've already got, and just bring in a little bit of color and the little hints of gold. You know, I love wearing a gold necklace, and we brought it in on
Yeah.
the belt. You know, I've got a little kind of gold bag as well now. So there's just little hints of the color that you can bring in, which is a really helpful way to look at it. And then, like with the shoes, we kind of did a fairly neutral outfit with the waistcoat being in a white color, and then this navy ones. But then the mustard on the shoe, again, just brought in a flash of color without me feeling like I could never wear those shoes again, because I can wear them
Yeah.
in totally different outfits.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's also pinpointing what those colors are and then kind of running them through. And obviously we try and maximize as much as possible. Like with your outfits, most of that was what you already had in your existing wardrobe, which I think goes to show the power of being more intentional and, you know, being really focused on this is how I want to show up, and therefore these are the kind of outfits that I want to create, because actually you had a lot of those ingredients already sat in your wardrobe. It was just about seeing them in a different way and perhaps styling them in a slightly different way to how you would naturally do it. And I think sometimes we can't see the wood for the trees when it's our stuff, because we're so used to, I wear this with this and this goes with this. And often also, obviously, we're time poor. So it's literally, that's just come off the top of the ironing pile or out of the washing machine and I'm going to wear it again. So I think that is so powerful, that intention and building out how you actually want to show up. Did you find that as well?
Yes, yeah, definitely. And I definitely was one of those pull it off the pile type of people. But after the Trailblazers, when we had the exhibition, after that, I had in the same week another couple of events to go to as well. And it was for the first time probably, I really thought carefully about how I pulled everything together and tried to actually find things that were on my Pinterest thing that you'd created for me, some of which I already had and just could pull together in a different way, and some of which I then went out intentionally to find with an idea in my mind. And I think that when you do that, the other benefit of that is that you spend less money, because
Yeah.
you're actually thinking about, before you go, what do I want, rather than wandering around hoping to be hit by inspiration and then finding something, bringing it home and then going, oh no, actually it's not me.
Yeah, definitely. I think I had a similar conversation with Kelly actually about how it feels like a lot to invest in yourself and invest in a stylist or invest in a photographer or whatever it is. But actually that can save you quite a lot of money, especially in the long term, because you're making much more considered purchases and you're perhaps also buying into things that are, made to last, and you are buying them because you want them to sort of work quite hard for you, essentially, because like this is something that's a gap in my wardrobe and I'm going to wear it in XYZ like different ways. So that can end up, I mean, I've had a lot of clients who have saved thousands just because of being more intentional, but also I guess knowing what you're looking for and being able to look for that secondhand is a real benefit as well, because you're saving off the retail price that you might pay if you were going out into the shops and buying something brand new as well.
Yeah, definitely. And especially now that we've got things like vintage, so you're not particularly waiting for it to show up in a charity shop or in a secondhand shop. You can still intentionally go out and actually search for those items and find them quite easily and still buy them secondhand.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's something I quite often do actually. If there's something that I particularly want, I might still go out to the shops and, try it on and make sure that it fits. And then I might then go to Vinted or eBay, or I've got a whole list of pre-loved sellers that I look at as well. And then I can find it secondhand whilst having had the benefit of actually going on and kind of touching it and trying it on as well. So I think sometimes it can feel like a compromise, but actually, if you do it with the right intention, then there's so many different benefits of it as well.
Definitely. And I love that actually when you're buying secondhand, or pre-loved, you're actually getting a piece often that, because it's not current season, people have kind of forgotten about it, or they're not all wearing it at the same time. So
Yeah.
I get loads of compliments on stuff that I've bought secondhand that people just haven't seen before, and it's not in the shops currently, and they're like, oh my God, where did you get that? It's like, well, I just got it in a charity shop.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get wonderful pieces that have been donated as well, don't you? Like really
Yeah,
expensive
absolutely.
pieces.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that it's good to also build up your sort of knowledge of where to go for certain things as well, which is obviously another thing that we discussed as part of the process, like different brands that will suit your signature style best. Did you find that a helpful part of the process as well?
Yes, definitely. I mean, you introduced me to brands I'd never heard of before. And when I went to look at them, I was like, wow, I love this stuff. It was all stuff that I could have bought. Obviously not every single piece, but most
Yeah.
of the stuff, I was like, you totally understood what looks good on me, what I'm looking for, and the quality of the brands that you were introducing me to were going to be pieces that I could buy and invest in and be able to wear for a long time. So yes, that was a brilliant part of the process. And also because I really like those brands now, and some of them are a bit more niche as well. Like they're not a lot of people have heard of them, which again is lovely because then you're not going to be wearing the same pieces that everyone else is wearing. But it also means that you can then sort of have those brands as kind of search terms that you're looking out for. So if they've got a sale on, and you can have it in your Google thing, and if you're looking on Vinted, then you can look out for those brands. So that was really helpful. I loved that.
Oh, that's brilliant to hear. So if we think about, like, now you're the other side of the Style Trailblazers experience, obviously you've spoken about going out to events and finding it much easier because you're being a lot more focused in terms of pulling things together and that extra level of like input and effort, which really pays off. Do you think that moving forward, there'll be any other sort of longer lasting benefits of having gone through this process? Because you've obviously got your beautiful photographs as well.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I think it's another aspect of it when you're having your photograph taken, because you're then kind of playing around with that new sense of who you are in those clothing, in that clothing and in that style. And it gives you an opportunity to just see what that looks like when you sort of express yourself within that new brand, if you like. I'm maybe not saying that very well, but it just gives you another element to it. And then I think the fact that the photographs were displayed for everyone to see added another whole dimension. And I mean, I love that because I love the whole aspect of trusting, and trusting that someone else can do something for you and you can just go with the flow. And, that's a big part of sort of what I really believe in to be powerful. So I really loved that you did it that way. It didn't make it necessarily that much easier to kind of walk in and be like, oh God, which ones have we chosen? And what do they look like? And it didn't necessarily make it easier to look my picture in the eye and feel comfortable either. But I really enjoyed it because I enjoy feeling like I've been placed outside of my comfort zone a bit. I thought that was really clever, the way that you did that. And I thought it just added a whole new dimension to the offering itself as well. So yeah, I loved that. And the day of photographing was really lovely. It was just a chance to kind of connect with other people and to see them enjoying their outfits and enjoying being asked to do different poses. And I found it brought out a different side of me as well when I was doing that. So, and I loved that. I actually really loved it.
That's brilliant. And I guess it's all embodiment, really, isn't it? It's like we've done all of this work behind the scenes and then you actually get to see yourself, like you said, in a different way as well. And I can fully appreciate that it's quite a nerve-wracking, for want of a better word, process to go through when you're fully putting your trust into somebody else and what they're choosing for you. But I think the beautiful part of that is almost that you get to see yourself through other people's perspective and other people's eyes as well. And obviously you've been a part of that process of creating the outfits and, being, like you said, being there on the day for the shoot as well. Was there anything kind of unexpected from the photos that we chose for you, or I guess talk to us a little bit more about that experience?
I think probably the most not unexpected, but interesting part of that was other people's reactions to the photographs, and people saying which one was their favorite and what they kind of saw in them, particularly around people who know me very well. So the friend that I brought with me, for example, she was kind of like, oh, I love that one of you. And I'm like, oh, what do you like about it? And I thought that she would probably like the other one more. And then my mum looked at them and she didn't like it's not that she didn't like it, but she liked less the one where I was being a bit more playful, which I actually really liked. Okay. And she was like, yeah, but you look more natural in this one. And I like you looking natural. Yeah. And my husband as well, he was sort of looking at it and going, oh, I really like the color of the lipstick in this one and things like that. So, that was very interesting to just see how people reacted and then how I reacted to their reaction. Because there were times when I was a bit like, so you don't like the other one? Why do you like me being playful? And it's just opened up a whole can of worms in a way. But but it was an important part of the experience to see through that lens.
Well, I suppose that in itself, and having those conversations and having that experience, is all a good way of getting you to feel more comfortable with being seen in a new way. Because
Mm.
I think when I work with my clients one to one, it's all well and good, like us having the conversations and then, putting the outfits together and everything else. But then that client's got to then go out into the world, in a very different, potentially, way to how they've been showing up in recent months or years or whatever. And that in itself can be a little bit of an extra step, which is why I offer support, in my packages for after we've done the work, because I think that's often when the kind of mindset wobbles can start coming in, because you're fine when you've had somebody supporting you through the process, but then when you've got to go out and actually step out and embody again that person, then it can feel a bit stretchy, I think.
Yeah, I think I think that's a really important thing to take it to that next step, because you're exactly right that the embodying part of it out in the wild, as it were, is like a
Yeah.
whole step. And definitely it's sort of one of those experiences where you're mirroring what people are going to experience in the real world anyway if they become more visible. So you're kind of giving them a taste of, well, people are going to have different viewpoints on whether they like it or not. And
Mm.
that's something that you're going to have to get used to if you're being more
Yeah.
visible, because people are not quiet about what they think online.
No. That's very
So
true.
that's something that you're going to deal with. And it's good that
Mm.
you can kind of deal with it in a safe space first. Let's have a
Mm.
little taste of that. How do you feel? What do you feel in
Mm.
response to that? How are you going to manage that going forwards? And then
Mm.
they're more ready for that, because it's going to happen the more you get
Mm.
visible.
Yeah, definitely. And I love with your photos as well. Like you said, you had two quite different sides to your personality that came out. Um, I love the like more, I think we said more mischievous side to you, which was really shown in the red outfit, and then the more kind of relaxed, but still like, I don't know, like that kind of boss vibe that you get through the actual outfit, but then your and everything was quite relaxed. So it was a really nice contrast, like even within the same photo, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I enjoyed having the two sides reflected, definitely.
I think that's really nice when you're starting a new chapter as well, is bringing out different elements of your personality through your clothing, because it gives you, because we don't, our moods can change so much on a day-to-day basis, can't they? And you want to have flexibility within your style and how you're showing up, because you might feel a particular way one day and then feel completely different the next day, and you want to have choice and kind of options of what you can wear on a given day. That, the red, for example, might be something that you lean on when you want to get a bit more energy and a bit more confidence or a bit more fun, and then the kind of more neutral pared back might be something if you're feeling like you want to show up in a more, what's the word, I was going to say subdued, but that's not the right word. um,
And I think the way that you actually managed to see and pull out those two sides was brilliant, because that is a side that the mischievous side of me is quite a core part of me. For people who know me well, there is a real mischievous side to me. And
yeah.
so for you to be able to see that and kind of pull that out and then name that almost, I thought was very insightful, because that's a side that often, not that I would try and hide, I'm
Mm,
sort of, I like having that more humorous side coming out, and
yeah.
I feel more comfortable when I can do both at the same time. But having that seen and
Mm.
recognized was really nice. It's like, oh, you got me, you got it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's why I try and go into as much depth as possible from the offset, so that I can really understand you on a deeper level, so that then we can really draw out all of those different aspects of you and your personality, because that's what you want to be able to show to people. And that's the beauty of style, that you don't even have to say a word, but it can be kind of speaking for you, if you like. Amazing. So there will obviously be a lot of women listening to this who are perhaps stepping into more visibility, or they're reinventing how they want to be seen. What advice would you give to a woman who's kind of feeling like she's ready for a change but isn't quite sure where to start, or she's not quite taken that step forward?
Oh, that's a big question, Alex.
Like to challenge you.
I think my advice would be to experiment a little in a small way and then build up from there. So, in fact, before we'd even done this and before I'd sort of even had even created the event, I was trying just small differences, like wearing a headband, something similar to yours, just to introduce a little bit of color, a little bit of difference, to see how I felt and to see how it felt to go out wearing that. And it sounds like a really small thing, but for me and for other people, I imagine sometimes that can be quite a big change, to
Definitely.
wear something that you've never worn before. Or it might be introducing, a bolder piece of jewelry or something like that, or a different lip color, because those small things can dramatically actually change the way that you're showing up. But you get to see how they feel without them being too big a change. And also, if you
Yeah.
go out and you're wearing lipstick or a headband or a piece of jewelry and you suddenly feel like you've lost the confidence to do it, you can just quickly whip that off, it's fine.
So true.
So I think just starting with a small change and just seeing how it feels and then slowly integrate more as you become more comfortable.
Yeah, such good advice. I think experimentation is such an important part of the journey because, like you said, you need to kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit, but you can do it like tiny steps to then build your confidence with what you're doing. And have you got anything exciting coming up as part of Confident Global or as part of your kind of more corporate side of your work?
Well, yes. So we are going to be launching our Magic and Mystery Retreat 2026 soon,
Nice.
having just finished 2025. And we've just got our new HQ for Confidant Global. So we have our own building now where we can
So
hold all of our
exciting.
dinners and day retreats and experimental stuff. So, yes. So we can, if you want to find out more about what we're doing, we've got the calendar of events going up soon for the year on the Confidant Global website. So that will tell you everything.
Brilliant. Amazing. And I'll put that in the show notes as well. So we have 3 quick fire questions that I ask everybody that comes onto the podcast. So your first one is, what is the one item of clothing in your wardrobe that you absolutely love and you couldn't live without, and why?
My stripy top, my stripy jumper.
Love that. That's a
Because I love
real
a stripe.
classic.
Can wear it anywhere. I can actually, even though it's a sweater, I can kind of dress it up and dress it down. So yeah, that
Yeah.
one.
They're almost like a classic capsule wardrobe piece. I think it's one of the ones that I can say that almost every single person has a version of in their wardrobe.
Yes. And my husband ribs me endlessly for it, but I love
We ignore husbands' opinions.
it.
And second question, if we opened your wardrobe right now, what would you have far too much of?
Ooh, probably random tops that don't go with anything that I don't even like in colors I don't even like. But because they are kind of neutral and boring, they can go with anything. So I sort of thought that they would be great. But they not that they don't go with anything, they do go with everything, but the color doesn't suit me. I never feel good when I'm wearing them. Like too many bland, rubbishy jumpers. That's what it would be.
Okay. I feel like you've got to do a cull.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And then finally, what's an outfit or a trend that you look back and think, oh, I really regret wearing that?
Shell suits.
Brilliant. 80s.
Yeah. I loved my shell suit at the time with my bum bag at the same
I
time around
love
the
it.
middle. Motivator style. But yeah, no, hideous. Awful. Yeah.
That's one that can stay in the past.
Yes, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. It's been amazing. And thank you for sharing your insights and your experience. I'm sure it's been really valuable for other people that are listening. If people want to get in touch with you or follow you on social media, where's the best place for them to connect with you?
Probably Nova Cobban on Facebook is the best place, but it's Nova Cobban everywhere. So you can find me anywhere under that name.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And I will obviously share all those links in the show notes as well so that people can connect. Thank you for tuning in to A Styled Life. If today's episode resonated, the best way to support the show is to share it with another trailblazer or leave a quick review. And if you're ready to align your style with your next level of impact, head to the show notes to book your free style strategy call. Because when your style aligns with your purpose, the world takes notice.